best entertainment on the earth. Tune in for Comics with Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and you may have seen the news that Bad Bunny, who is a it's not a Warner Brothers cartoon. This is a Grammy-winning artist. Bad Bunny. That's for everybody who thinks over 30. Anyway, Bad Bunny is going to officially join the Marvel Universe. Technically, the Sony Marvel Universe. He has been cast as El Muerto. This is a standalone Marvel movie, much in the same vein as Morbius, the Living Vampire, scheduled for release in 2024, which means they're going to try and rush it to script and to filming relatively quickly at the end of the year. So that's going to be quick, which is always good. You know, the best movies are the ones that really bypass that long script writing process and just rush immediately to filming, particularly for characters nobody's ever heard of. Anyway, Bad Bunny will be joining the Sony Marvel Universe as El Muerto. And this is you might be going right now, I have no idea who El Muerto is. El Muerto. So I have got you covered. So here's your basic biography. First off, we're talking about a character that was introduced in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This back in 2006. Peter David was a writer. Roger Cruz was our penciler. And this was, like I said, in 2006. And basically the background goes as follows. The powers and mask of the superpowered wrestler, El Muerto, have been passed down from generation to generation. The luchadors, basically. Each wrestler had to prove themselves to their oppressor, El Dorado, so that they could remain alive and keep their powers. When Marcus Estrada presented his son, Juan Carlos, to El Dorado, Juan Carlos cowered in terror, unwilling to fight him. Marcus Estrada sacrificed his life to try and save Juan Carlos. Out of respect for his father's courage, El Dorado granted Juan Carlos 10 years to travel and become brave, and then to duel a masked wrestler and unmask him. 10 years later, El Muerto traveled to New York City, and J. Jonah Jameson hooked him up, as they do, to set up a charity event, a wrestling match. But Jameson had this sneaky plan, hoping that El Muerto, who is a skilled grappler, would defeat and unmask Spider-Man, and everybody would know who was under the mask. El Muerto and Spider-Man both attended the match, and Spider-Man basically, he was not concerned he would beat him. But El Muerto proved to be pretty strong and nearly unmasked Spider-Man. But Spider-Man stabbed El Muerto with his stingers, and this came from when Spider-Man briefly had stingers, which injected him with a paralyzing poison. Spider-Man, kind of alarmed at what he had done, rescued El Muerto, and when he kind of felt bad about it, and El Dorado came to claim his life because the 10 years was up. So Spider-Man then fought El Dorado, but El Muerto came to his aid, and they were able to defeat El Dorado together, but he still managed to escape. So that is basically the origin of who this character is. And what's interesting about this, and basically this entire storyline played over 2 comics, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 6 and number 7, and that was it. So this is a 2 comic, and you're getting a movie character, and that was all there was. This is a comic that even had like the ghost of Uncle Ben show up with Aunt May, and I think Wolverine was in issue 6 in some fashion. But this is basically a movie about a 2 character arc. So the good news in all this, and it truly is good news, is Peter David is getting himself a check. And I'll bet in his wildest dreams, Peter David did not believe that one day somebody would be presenting him a check for El Muerto. I also believe there's a 99.100% chance that somebody is going to show up to discover that Peter David is a white dude, and he has basically written a Mexican wrestler character. So we're going to have to get a new comic out with El Muerto by Marvel that allows, basically for, a Latino wrestler to write El Muerto so they could kind of forget that this white dude actually did this character. I'm just saying they need to make sure this happens. So anyway, it was this comic. It was more or less forgettable. I like Peter David. But it was not, this was not a big moment in Spider-Man's life. Again, this was kind of this awkward moment where he had kind of his weird Scarlet Spider type costume, and he was, again, he was basically had these additional spider powers that were weird and strange. Flash Thompson showed up during this whole thing. I mean, it's a strange, goofy story, and not necessarily anything big. But that's what Sony does. They take these things and they make they make comics out of them. So I guess it is. What I take from all this is that they really wanted to work with Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny does have a bit of a following. Bad Bunny clearly enjoys wrestling. He was in I think he was in the Royal Rumble or in WrestleMania, or both, actually. So Bad Bunny has this this reputation for being interested in comics and interested in wrestling. This was this charming period, by the way, where Mary Jane was married to Peter, and they actually had a relationship together. So that was nice. It's going back and researching his comic, I'm reminded of just how wonderful it was that this was going on. But anyway, that's the entire story. So I really don't. I mean, there's not much more to it. It is kind of baffling that they would make an entire movie off of this thing, but there you have it. So what I don't think is going to occur is I do not believe that they will be actually putting in. See, my dog doesn't like it. I don't believe they're going to be putting in Spider-Man. Just I can't imagine that Tom Holland's going to show up for this. But anyway, this. All in all, this was this both wonderful period. Mary Jane was in the picture with Peter, but awkward period because he was hanging out with Iron Man, and there was just this wasn't a great era of Spider-Man. He had his web stinger powers, and that wasn't. I don't think that was ever done very well. I like Peter David. This wasn't Peter David's finest moment either, and it. More or less forgettable. I mean, the most astonishing thing about this entire thing is people remembered this entire El Muerto story in the first place and decided to make a comic out of it. So anyway, there you go. So what do you? I mean, my big question is this Sony just completely getting desperate at this point to make additional movies in the Spider-Man universe? Is that what's going on here? Or like they want to find a role for Bad Bunny, and they're like, well, there's only one Latin character we know of in Marvel, and so I guess it's El Muerto. I mean, I don't know. At some point, shouldn't you have just created a new character? I think that's it's all very peculiar. Anyway, let me know what you are you going to go see this movie? At what point are we kind of digging into the bottom of the barrel where Spider-Man movies are concerned? This has got to be it, right? Bad Bunny does have an audience, but I cannot imagine it's going to be a draw to get people there. But whatever, he's good in Narcos, I guess. So there you go. Bad Bunny is excited, so you should be too. Anyway, let me know if you're going to see Bad Bunny in El Muerto, and there you go. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.